This is a News 3 Now special report.
Thanks for joining this News 3 Now coronavirus special report. I'm Keely Arthur. Well, new this morning, a new global milestone in the fight against the coronavirus. Overnight, the death toll has risen to about 150,000 worldwide. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. COVID-19 has infected more than 2.25 million people and killed more than 150,000. Meanwhile, President Trump has unveiled new guidelines to help loosen state restrictions as the total number of American infections hits 700,000. The Trump administration and the White House Coronavirus Task Force now say there are enough COVID-19 tests to get the country to start phase 1 of the 3-phase reopening process.
For what we need in the first phase, if these things are done correctly, what I believe they can, we will have and there will be enough tests to allow us to take this country safely through phase 1.
Phase 1 includes much of the current lockdown measures, such as avoiding non-essential travel and not gathering in groups. But it says larger venues like restaurants, places of worship, and sports venues can operate under strict physical distancing protocols. Meanwhile, day 2 of nationwide protests continue overnight as people voiced their opposition to the stay-at-home orders and demanded that the economy be reopened. This is video from St. Paul, Minnesota. The massive crowd gathered outside the governor's mansion demanding to end the state's stay-at-home order. The group is calling themselves Liberate Minnesota. Their organizers say the state's stay-at-home order has gone on long enough. The president has embraced these protesters, tweeting that Minnesota, Michigan, and Virginia should be liberated. All 3 states have Democratic governors and are considered battlegrounds for the presidential election. Now, a similar protest is planned here in Madison for next week. On the original day of our state's safer-at-home order, it would have been lifted that day. Well, speaking of Wisconsin, there are now more than 4,000 confirmed coronavirus cases in this state and more than 200 deaths. That's about 150 new cases and 25 deaths in just the last 24 hours. Milwaukee County contains roughly half of the state's total cases, with more than 2,000 as well as 120 deaths just in that county. Over here in Dane County, we had 359 confirmed cases and then 17 deaths. UW Health says its medical assistant apprentices are being called on to help. Under normal circumstances, the apprentices mainly focus on classwork and limited clinical studies, but now they are helping with the COVID-19 response. They are still completing classwork in the 11-month program, but due to clinical consolidation, they are now also helping with employee testing, nursing assistant areas, and childcare training. With the pandemic comes medical waste. While many parts of the world are seeing an increase of it based on the number of COVID-19 patients, here in Wisconsin, we are actually seeing less waste right now. UW Health says waste is down by 30%. They said it's because other standard procedures where PPE would be given to staff and patients, they just aren't happening right now. And since we don't have a surge of COVID-19 patients, there is less medical waste than usual. Wanakee-based company Mary explains what happens to the waste once it leaves the hospital.
Steam gets injected and then it moves underneath microwaves, which also provide more heat. We heat this waste up to over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. The process takes about 60 minutes. And when it comes out the end, it's deposited into a compactor and it looks like confetti.
Well, Mary's staff members visit Madison area hospitals daily to properly dispose of that waste. The city of Madison is launching several new initiatives to help people have safe, healthy spaces for walking and biking during the Safer at Home order. Over the next week, crews will be making improvements to some of the city's most used trails and expanding what they called, quote, shared streets. For specifics on the plans and locations, you can head to our website. It's another Saturday morning with no tents posted up on around the square for the foreseeable future. The Dane County Farmers Market says it will be hosting local food pickup on Wednesdays and Saturdays starting next week. It'll be at Willow Island at the Alliant Energy Center. They say people can pre-order via their What's Good online farmers market store and then pick up. You just have to drive through and the farmers will actually just place the order directly into your car. Scammers are preying on fears and uncertainty around the coronavirus pandemic. Here are the top 2 scams that Wisconsinites need to be aware of, according to the Better Business Bureau. With N95 masks in short supply and many major retailers sold out, they say the #1 virus-related scam is fake masks being promoted online. Secondly, people should also be on the lookout for stimulus check scams, particularly in the form of email links that could infect your computer with malware. Another scam to watch out for is happening on social media. The Better Business Bureau says you should not fall into the trap of posting your old senior photos online. People are doing that right now in solidarity with current seniors who won't get to finish their finals or graduation.
Without really thinking about it, you might be divulging sensitive information, which a lot of people don't think about as sensitive, but when taken into a different context, it can be used for other unsavory items.
The BBB says scammers or hackers who could potentially use the name of your high school and graduation year, which are common online security questions. In addition, an internet search can reveal a lot more information about you, including your full name, birth date, and where you live. Well, many of us are looking for ways to help right now. Friends of State Street family members are looking for business owners who are willing to host hospitality tables. They'll keep the table supplied. All you need to do is to be willing to have a table on your property. And the group's going to set it up like this one on West Washington Avenue with water and snacks. It's going to be an unmanned table so people experiencing homelessness can have access to those supplies. If you own a business and are willing to host a table, you are asked to reach out to the Friends of State Street Family Facebook page. Well, thank you so much for joining this special report. I'm Keely Arthur. We're going to have more on our evening shows and, as always, up on channel3000.com.